Pleasant evening, ladies and gentlemen. We do have a change in our program. It's no longer conversations with the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has been delayed in an emergency meeting with CARICOM heads to address the situation in Venezuela. But he's left his whole cabinet here with you to answer any questions. And leading the debate will be Honorable Minister Franklin Can, Minister of Energy and Energy Industries. He's ably assisted by Minister Edmund Dillon, Minister of Housing, MP for Point Fortin, and also Nicole Oliveri, Parliamentary Secretary and MP for La Brea, and Robert Lahunt, Minister of Public Utilities. So without much ado, ladies and gentlemen, just remembering some house rules, let's keep the cell phones on mute and vibrate, and let's keep our questions crisp and concise. And the ministers are here to answer any of your questions at the two microphones placed here. Minister Can, yes. For some opening remarks, I refer to Minister Can. As soon as we have a little quiet, we can proceed.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I would like to apologize on behalf of the Prime Minister for either being late because he's tied up in a very, very important Caribbean Heads of Government meeting at the Hyatt Regency as we speak. There are important regional issues occurring in the country at this point in time, and the CARICOM leaders need to discuss it as a matter of urgency. He sincerely regrets that he may not be here tonight. He was coming to Santa Flora, Palo Seco area, largely to deal with the issues that you face in this community. But we know for a fact the most challenging issue and the issue that is on your mind is the issue as to what has happened to Petrotrin and what will Heritage role be in this new community and this new construct of the new oil company. Ladies and gentlemen, as the Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, it is my responsibility to make sure that this transition occurs in the best interests of Trinidad and Tobago, and in particular, the interests of the fence line communities in which this company will operate. Most of you here may know me. I have worked all my life right there in Santa Flora. I left Tesoro and then Trintopec as the acting chief geologist here at Santa Flora. I know, like the palm of my hands, the oil fields of the Southwest Peninsula. And just to give you a background, so you will understand what is going to happen to these communities. This whole slide in Petrotrin took place after the merger of Trintopec and Trintop to form Petrotrin. And at that point in time, the focus went to the refinery. As a matter of fact, we were all transferred from Santa Flora to headquarters, in inverted commas, at Point-A-Pierre. And over the last decade and a half, the exploration and production arm of the company was neglected. Petrotrin has invested billions of dollars in a refinery upgrade. They invested over $1.5 billion in an ultra-low sulfur diesel plant. They invested over $1.5 billion in a world GTL plant. All of these projects went sour. It left the company with a debt of approximately 13 billion TT dollars. What was worse, Petrotrin's consolidated books were showing a loss, let's say for argument's sake, of $100 million. That wasn't the true state of the company. The true state of the company was that $100 million loss really reflected $100 million profit from E&P and a $200 million loss from the refinery, just to quote an example. And what that meant is that exploration and production was supporting the refinery. We were losing approximately $5 to $6 per barrel on every barrel of oil we refined. To make it worse, we were only producing around 50,000, 40-something thousand barrels of local crude. The refinery has a throughput of 150,000, which meant we had to import 100,000 barrels per day to lose $5 per barrel on each of the 100,000 barrels you import. That could not last. Petrotrin, as it was currently constructed, was not sustainable. We had to bite the bullet. And we have now restructured the company into 4 companies. One, Trinidad and Tobago Petroleum Holding, which is the parent company. That would not be an operating entity, it would be a holding company. And 3 operating arms. Garakara Refining, whose mandate would be to offer the refinery for sale or lease to anybody who is interested internationally. Paria Trading, to export our crude and to import fuels for the local market. And more importantly, we have formed a company called Heritage, where we will now invest significant sums of money to bring back the oil fields of Southwest Peninsula, Palo Seco, Central Los Bajos, Erin, Point Fortin, Grand Ravine, Forest Reserve, back to the level it once used to be. The people of Santa Flora will know about the heydays of Trinidad Tesoro, when there were Tesoro games at what was then called the J.P. Smalls Velodrome. When every morning you get up in Santa Flora and you hear the whistle blow at 7 o'clock, rigs just start to leave the yard going out to work. That wasn't happening over the last 10 years. Everything was dying. This is the activity we plan to bring back up. This is the activity we plan to bring back up in this new construct of Heritage. It will take some time to build back to that level, but as we speak, by probably March, April, May, there will be 18 to 24 workover rigs starting to work back in the area, and we plan drilling coming for later down in the year. So that is the state of play. The opportunities are there for you. And Santa Flora will once again find its rightful place in the energy sector. We will answer your questions. We'll try our best to give you answers, to give you honest answers, to give you truthful answers as to the state of play. With me on the stage is your Member of Parliament for Loughborough, Ms. Nicole Oliveri, Member of Parliament our neighboring constituency, the Member of Parliament for Point Fortin, Brigadier Edmund Dillon, and the Minister of Public Utilities and the Faizabad man, so our coordinator for Faizabad, Mr. Robert Lohan. And we have a series of other ministers here. We are willing to take your questions. If any of of us on the stage cannot answer in the level of detail that you require, I will hand over to the relevant minister to do such. So once again, thank you for coming. Thank you for understanding that a Prime Minister's job is a very heavy job. Things come up of international importance that he has to deal with. And today, up to this, after cabinet, we spoke, he told me we'll be here, and then this CARICOM meeting just kept going on and on and on. And there's no way that he can leave a heads of government CARICOM meeting, which is discussing important regional and national issues. So he sincerely apologized, and I hope we can do justice to him and to our leader. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We now invite you all to come to the microphones and pose your questions to the Honorable Ministers in attendance. First question, microphone on our left. Just state your name, your full name, right? Ask your question, keep it concise, and then be seated. Thank you.
Hello, good night. Gabriel Jacob is my name, aka Dubs. Yeah, Mr. Minister, I'm a former employee of Petrotrin. I dedicated 33 years in Petrotrin. And when they closed, I got nothing. So my question I would like to ask is, if exploration in Santa Flora was making money, why did they close down Santa Flora? I could understand point up here, but what about Santa Flora? Why did you all close down Santa Flora? That is the one and the most immediate question. The other question is, they said there will be rigs coming in the company. These rigs, will it be working for contractors, the company, or lease operators? And thirdly, the other question is Petrotrin and its predecessors. This community was alienated. Now with this company here, Heritage, what is the immediate and long-term plan that this government have for this community? Because business right now is running at below zero. Nice, so we want to know what is the immediate plan you all have for this community. Thank you.
Thank you for that question.
And let me answer the first one. If you were working Petrotrin for 33 years and you didn't get anything, you were a temporary or casual worker, I presume. And there was a formula that was used to determine which temporary or casual worker was entitled to some sort of termination benefit. And that is the formula that was used to cut off, because the company could not afford to pay every single person who make 10 days in Petrotrin a termination benefit, because that will rack up into thousands of people. Because everybody here does work at the crash program for Christmas, but that cannot qualify you for a termination benefit. So the formula they used to us was a just formula, and if you were working 33 years, I don't know how you slipped through the crack, or if you really did not qualify under the formula. The other questions about the rigs. You see, there are two issues with the production of oil. Oil production declines naturally over time. So what production was in 1980, it wouldn't be the same in 1990. It wouldn't be the same in 2000, and it wouldn't be the same in 2010. Which means that you have to continue looking for new oil fields. The problem with land is that very few new oil pools have been discovered. Look how long they find the Palo Seco field. That was formed since in BP days. Look how long they found Central Los Bajos, Point Fortin, found by Shell. These new companies were not finding new oil. They were just producing the old fields, and the old fields has natural decline. That is where you need workover rigs to operate, to keep the wells at an optimum level. One of the problems with Petrotrin was that they were involved in activities that companies do not involve themselves in. There's no oil company in the world that I know owns a drilling rig. Drilling is something that is always contracted to drilling companies. Workover rigs also. Companies do not necessarily own the workover rigs. They own the wells. They produce the wells. And if the wells goes off and they have to do a workover, they contract the rig through the rig contractor. But the rig contractor has employees also from the area. So the key issue now you all in this community have to understand is not working for Petrotrin or working for Heritage. It's working in the energy sector. And the energy sector will start back to boom in this area, I can assure you that.
Next question on the right.
Pleasant evening to you, Mr. Minister, ministers, MPs, chairmen, etc., the others and the rest. My name is Carlton Young. I'm from a sleepy village in Quarry, and I'm from Gov't. The reason I am here is because of a perennial flooding problem that we suffer every year, 4 or 5 times. Efforts were made to contact the drainage department. They came with a bundle of, you know the thing, hullabubu, 6, 7, 8, 10 people, and no action was taken. So, every time we have a heavy shower of rain, we have the Kunapo River, which is a registered river, and it is meandering a course through the village. It has now started to erode its banks and getting closer to the residents in the area. That's my first point. I would like some action on that to the various ministers. The second one, I think it has to do with the Separio Regional Corporation. In Gov't, we have a trace that is off Gov't. It's just slightly off. We have been advocating to get assistance from regional corporation to at least pave that trace, even though it's at oil sand, some blinding and oil sand, which would help us when the rain falls to be able to reach in with our school children, the ill, and so forth. The other problem is drainage for that same area. And the MP might know the area. There is a big hill coming down, and when rain falls, all that water comes down, and you don't have a roadway again, you have a sea. So to those who are in the office that can assist us with that, I appreciate Gov't Improvement Committee will be gladly accepting any assistance as early as possible on our behalf. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. The relevant technocrats are here and they will take note. We have representatives from the Ministry of Works and Transport, and I see him writing down on his notepad.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Come closer to the mic.
Aware of that, I want to get closer to the situation. Honorable Ministers, good night to you all. With all due respect, even my conduct is because I am very disturbed about the closure of Petrotrin after understanding what Petrotrin means to country and even the southwestern hemisphere where I reside and many others. My question to you, sir, is that why it is in 2017, that we had a board comprised of Mr. Espini, chaired by Mr. Espini, and the question is why it is after such a short period of time, with all the goodies that it had, that where we drilled wells and we was making a surplus profit, and we had all these expenditures and what have you. For example, the Moruga pipeline and what have you. The question I am asking, excuse me please, I am 72 years of age, I am from Quarry Village, I grew up in Soho, that little village by Beach Camp. We know struggle. What I am saying is why this has to be done to us. But the question I come into, in 2017, We had 6 exploration wells that was drilled according to this. And the surplus oil that we got, it was more than you all as Minister of Energy, sir, that said we got surplus oil and what have you. And in 1 year time, this decision was taken to shut down Petrotrin. We had Mr. Espini that said all, when we had the Prime Minister saying only the refinery, and Mr. Espini going to say all. My question is, what you need the people to do now? And what I am saying is that the surplus we're talking about, it is written here. Look at Petrotrin. And I am saying you, as Minister of Energy, and I want you to answer me one question, please. Did you know Mr. A and B or did you not? Added to that, why it is only the exploration and the surplus come from Central Los Bajo and not Catsel? Answer me that question, that is one. The other question is, these focus asset integrity in operation, record improvement in Petrotrin own land production, and that's what I'm talking about, and I could give you the surplus that we're talking about. The other one is the facilities that we're talking about in our community and surrounding areas. Petrotrin Regon Drilling Point 14, all this was taking place in 2017.
Yes, excuse me. Can you just add a question to that so we can have as many people make a contribution? Just define that in a question, please.
The question is, who made this decision in that space of time within a year to shut down the company after we was making a profit of a surplus? Thank you.
The key issue you raised there is that Petrotrin was making a profit. Petrotrin was not making a profit. Petrotrin was losing approximately $2 billion a year. The reason, as I explained in my introduction, was that Petrotrin was an integrated oil company that was involved in marketing, refining, and exploration and production. When we analyzed the entire business, we realized it was not sustainable in that construct. The only profitable arm of the business was exploration and production. So what we did, we shut down the business as it was presently structured. We opened a business model that separated exploration and production into a separate company, can now show how profitable it can be, can now have the required investment injected into its operation, bring back activity levels to where we want it to be, and increase the production from its current 35,000 barrels a day to as high as 42,000 barrels a day by the end of the year. And it is our hope that by 2022, production can reach as high as 60,000 barrels a day. That production will come from land right here in the Southwest Peninsula and in Trinma. Trinma is the goose that lays the golden egg. It's out there, but it needs significant investment. And the investment capital to make Trinma profitable was not there. That capital was used to upgrade the refinery, and the refinery upgrade failed. So we had to get out of that. And now we have to raise new capital to invest in seismic programs in Trinma, in drilling new wells, in bringing jack-up systems, jack-up rigs, in offshore production facilities, and in increasing drilling and workovers on land. Bring back thermal recovery. Everybody remember here the days of well steam flooding going on in Central Los Bajo. The whole of Palo Seco. Thermal recovery and forest reserve. All these things have to come back to bring back the production to where it is. But it costs money to do these things. And if a company doesn't have money, it has to source money. And if it has to source money, its balance sheet must look good. It's not a matter of getting up in the morning and say, Mr. X, Mr. Y, bring your rig and come and start to work. Well, how you pay them? A business is about money. Oil only has value because oil can be sold at an international price. And as we speak, the price of oil is falling, Nobody's studying that. And if your price of oil is falling and your production is falling, you don't stand a chance like a snowball in hell, So we have to hope the price of oil stabilize, that we can get our production to a level that even though there's a slight dip in the price, our revenue could continue. And the whole southwestern peninsula community depends on the survival of this new entity. And you will have to support it. You have to support it. This is a little period here where it will be hard. It's like taking medicine for an ailment. You cannot sabotage the very assets that we own. You have to give it a chance to work. And today I want to speak here on behalf of the Prime Minister. He was coming to do that, to beseech you, the residents of Palo Seco, Santa Flora, Erin, Los Bajos, Pariland, Point Fortin, Guapo, understand the dilemma we found ourselves in. We didn't do this out of spite or hate, We did it because of the long-term love for the community and for the residents of the Southwest Peninsula.
Yes, ministers, we'll take the next question on the left, on our left, and we want to remind everybody that since all the cabinet members are here, you're members of parliament, you can address your questions directly to your members of parliament.
Good night to the head table. My name is Curtis Huggins, and it is good to see you ministers leave Port Spain and come down in South. You look so beautiful on the rostrum. I want to shift a bit from Petrotrin. My complaint is an inheritance problem from the UNC to the PNM in the sense of the development of the highway from San Fernando to Point Fortin that passes through Mondesi and Delay Road. We, the citizens of that side, from day one, our applications is inside correctly, right? And up to this day, we are not getting no redress in the sense of our valuations have already been done at NETCO, right? And every time we go to NETCO, NETCO is saying that the present government have stopped all. Go ahead, sir. NETCO has stopped all contributions from since 2015 for that segment. I am a victim of it because it is 3 years now we just in limbo. I am here tonight to ask, could the government do something for us? Because it is not only money, it is about surveying back our boundaries, and it is about making back up our deeds, showing the plottings we have. Because we no longer have 6 acres of land, we no longer have 10 acres of land. And furthermore, the property tax is coming. We cannot pay property tax on 10 acres of land, and we do have 10 acres of land. And it's a whole delay with the government. No matter how you go to NETCO, it's one story over and over. We're not reaching nowhere. I am here tonight as a citizen to voice my views, to ask the government, what could you all do to help us on this segment of Mondesi Delay Road with our documents inside to get us straightened out? Thank you.
Mr. Sinanan, I think.
Mr. Sinanan, the Minister of Works and Transport is here, and he will address that issue.
Yes, good evening all. On the issue of the land acquisition on the highway, this government did take a decision to halt the processing of some of the application. Well, it's the acquisition. The reason for that is simple. What we met was something that was happening that we could not make sense of. That highway started just before the 2010 election with a budget of about $400 million for land acquisition. The government changed, the project was awarded, and for some strange reason, the land acquisition valuation went from 400 million to 800 million. What we found is that about 50% of the land was acquired. leaving some close to 400 pieces still to be acquired and close to 600 million already spent. A lot of the land that was acquired, we found that where a piece was needed, an entire block was bought. So this government had to go into most of these plots and identify what really went on there. It took us a while to evaluate the process. I'm happy to announce that the attorneys and NITCO and the Ministry of Works would have put together a package that is going to Cabinet in 2 weeks with a full report on the land acquisition on that highway. It is going to be mind-blowing when the true facts about that land acquisition comes out. But we are in a position now that we're going to the Cabinet, lay the case out. This is exactly what happened, and this is the way forward. And once we get that direction from the Cabinet, then a decision will be taken as to how we will proceed with the land acquisition. I understand your plight because I know of hundreds of people who have been served with Section 3.
Yeah.
And that would have basically put a stop to your life.
Yeah, correct.
All right? It is
That is why you're complaining right now.
It is unfortunate that the process for land acquisition happened in the way it did, because they use a combination of compulsory acquisition and private treaty with no definite plan as to how they're going to acquire the land. And we have some valuations in there as much as $90 million for a parcel of land. These are things that we're trying to unravel, and I can assure you that very soon a decision will be taken by the Cabinet as to the way forward with those parcels of land. Thank you.
Will we be able to get some headline before this year finish?
Definitely you'll have a way forward before the year finish.
Thank you for that contribution. Ministers, we look to the microphone on our right.
Hello, good night. My name is Michelle Alexander. My question is directed to my MP, Mrs. Nicola Olivier. I am from a forgotten small village just down the road there, opposite the velodrome. It's called Estiwell. We are forgotten by our MP, also by our councillor. I live approximately 200 feet away from the last electrical pole. Ms. Olivier could attest to my filing sitting in her office since she came into office. Our little small community requires 5 electrical poles. I have been to her on numerous occasions and I am yet to receive 1 pole. Can anyone tell me where in the world in 2019 I'm living without electricity? Such a necessity as electricity. So I just want to know, to the Minister of Public Utilities, Mr. Leon, can I have some help, please? I'm screaming, I'm no longer begging, I'm screaming for some help, please. Thank you very much.
Well, we have the 2 correct people to attempt to bring some comfort to your screams.
Right, good evening, everyone. The process for acquiring electricity requires that an application be made to TNTech. Now, depending on the landowner of the property that you're on, if it's your own private land or if you are occupying PSAEL lands, or if you're occupying state lands, you need to have some proof of some indication of your right to be on that particular parcel of land. And all that is part of the process when you're applying to TNTech. Now, once TNTech receives the application with the required documentation, they will do an assessment of the number of poles that are required, and as she said, the 5 poles are required to get to her house. They would give you a